What do you say?
He kind of like looks kind of bumped up, but he looks in a very good shape. I saw his sparring, so I'm not going to talk about.
Breaking news inside reports are claiming that Oleksandr Usyk dropped his sparring partner and sent him straight to the hospital during an intense camp session. The whispers coming out of camp are brutal, and it is clear Usyk is locked in like a monster ahead of Rico Verhoeven.
Maybe he was born under the lucky star, and the road is just a path is just going very, very smooth for him.
This is Oleksandr Usyk's manager Aegis Klimas giving a clear update, and everything sounds perfectly on track. Camp is nearly complete, and timing looks spot on. While Rico Verhoeven is still talking, Usyk's team is calmly finishing elite-level preparation like true professionals.
Very well. His preparation is already coming down in the very end, and soon as going to be back home in a week or so. Yeah, about in a week, maybe 10 days. We're going to Australia.
Rico Verhoeven is trying to sell this idea of a new puzzle, but it sounds more like hope than reality. Size and kickboxing angles mean nothing against Oleksandr Usyk's elite boxing brain. This is a completely different game, and Rico is stepping into deep waters.
What I believe is that the puzzle of boxing, Oleksandr solves multiple times. Too many times already. And I think this is a puzzle he hasn't solved yet. So I'm gonna bring kickboxing angles, bring a different type of puzzle. And like I said, I'm a big unit. I'm like 125 kilos. So this is something that he's gonna...
Oleksandr Usyk sounds ice-cold with zero pressure on his shoulders. This is just another fight in his eyes, and that mindset is terrifying. While Rico Verhoeven is building hype, Usyk is treating this like routine work, and that is what makes him so dangerous.
No, it's not pressure for me. Listen, it's just fight. It's a boxing fight. It's a normal... I prepare for this fight. Everything okay.
Eddie Hearn clearly sees danger, but even he knows this situation looks uncomfortable. Rico Verhoeven might carry power, but stepping into a boxing ring against Oleksandr Usyk is a completely different mental test, and cracks could show under that pressure.
But he's going to be dangerous. Like all the attributes that he has, they still exist, regardless of his mental state. But I see a kid in pain. You know, I've got to be honest with you. Like, I don't see how people around him can be looking at his behaviour and being comfortable with it, and I don't think they are.
Johnny Nelson is right about one thing: Oleksandr Usyk has already dominated everyone in front of him. This fight may be business, but even in business mode, Usyk operates at a level Rico Verhoeven simply has never experienced inside a boxing ring.
Got to look at Oleksandr, what he's done. He's wiped the floor with everybody. He's established himself at the top there. So now you look at him and you'll think financially, will he be in a better position than Tyson Fury? No, not in my opinion. Anthony Joshua? No, not in my opinion. The big money fights aren't out there for him. So he's got to do something. He's got to put himself in a position where he's got to win, because he's proved he's top draw. So in this fight here, I think it creates interest, intrigue. I'm quite sure there's a healthy pay packet at the end of it. This is now business.
Rico Verhoeven is talking about power and excitement, but this is where the reality check kicks in. Boxing is not just about landing heavy shots, it is about timing, precision, and ring IQ. Oleksandr Usyk has spent years mastering these exact elements against elite fighters. Rico might believe his size and strength will make a difference, but against someone like Usyk, those advantages fade quickly. This is not kickboxing where he dominates. This is a completely different battlefield where mistakes are punished instantly, and Usyk rarely lets anything slide.
Very calculated, but yeah, when I connect, I connect. Like I said, there's a lot of weight behind these punches. So yeah, of course, within the kickboxing sport, I was used to just throwing the kicks and doing my thing. But now we get the opportunity to use the hands more. So Peter is like, oh, he's like crazy excited. He's like,
Even Rico Verhoeven admits the truth without realizing it by comparing himself to Oleksandr Usyk. The difference is Usyk has proven his dominance in boxing at the very highest level against world champions. Rico's success comes from a different sport entirely. Calling this a cherry on the cake shows the mindset gap as well, because for Usyk, this is not a bonus, this is serious business. That difference in mentality alone could decide everything once they step into the ring.
And Oleksandr Usyk is the Rico Verhoeven in boxing.
Yeah.
So like he's been dominating for so long and in such phenomenal fashion. So I was like, wow, if we could do this, that would be like the cherry on the cake.
Fabio Wardley raises a very real concern, and it is hard to ignore. When you look at Oleksandr Usyk's resume, every name is elite, every fight is at the highest level. Then suddenly a crossover opponent steps in, and it changes the whole narrative. Rico Verhoeven might be a legend in kickboxing, but this is professional boxing where experience at the top matters more than anything. It highlights just how unusual this matchup is and why many believe Usyk is operating on a completely different level.
Understand that he's kind of earned the right to do what you want, but I at least expected it to be some sort of active boxer, someone of some... Not to say I don't actually know much about Van Hooven in terms of a kickboxer, of what his quality level is, but what I'm saying is I expected it to be someone of a decent caliber of a professional boxer. But if it's not, then fine. Look, do your thing, do you, and hopefully he returns to actual professional boxing against some of the top elite.
Paul Smith points out something that fans have been debating heavily. There are real contenders waiting in line for a shot at Oleksandr Usyk, and yet Rico Verhoeven jumps straight into the spotlight. It raises serious questions about fairness and legitimacy. Even if Usyk has earned the right to take a different kind of fight, putting titles into the mix changes everything. It creates pressure and expectation, but at the same time it still feels like Rico is stepping into a situation far beyond his actual boxing experience.
Boxing for a long time and not really done much in boxing at all to definitely to warrant a shot at Oleksandr Usyk when there's a queue so big. And
Indeed.
You know what I mean? And that's the most important thing. The people who are sitting waiting for their shot in line are going to be fuming over this. Some would say, to counter that argument, Usyk's probably earned the right to have an easier one after what he...
Dave Allen says it as directly as possible, and many will agree with him. Rico Verhoeven may have solid skills and even some boxing ability, but facing the best heavyweight in the world is a completely different challenge. Oleksandr Usyk is not just another opponent, he is a master of the craft with elite experience and composure. Calling it a mismatch might sound harsh, but when you compare their boxing journeys, it becomes clear why so many believe this fight could be one-sided from the very beginning.
Yeah, but I'm not interested in... I like Rico Verhoeven, sparred him, know him, nice fella, very good kickboxer, one of the best of all time, but he's not a boxer. If he wants to fight... Can
he box?
Yeah, he can box, he's a very good boxer, but he shouldn't be boxing the best heavyweight in the world. If he wants to do it as an exhibition, go and do it. I'm not interested in Usyk Verhoeven, just for the simple fact.
Simon Jordan is digging into the business side of this fight, and he is not wrong to question it. When Oleksandr Usyk enters these crossover conversations, there is always more happening behind the scenes than just sport. This is not random matchmaking, it is strategy timing and legacy positioning. Rico Verhoeven brings a different audience, and that alone increases value and attention. But the real question is whether this helps or distracts Usyk from his boxing legacy. Every move he makes is calculated, and this fight clearly has layers beyond just competition inside the ring.
Space, and I can see how the monetization vehicle of this works. But Usyk wouldn't be doing this unless there's a reason for it. There must be a motivation behind it. It must be some form of derivative as to what happened between the various disciplines crossing over with Ngannou.
Ade Oladipo gives Rico Verhoeven full respect, and his kickboxing record cannot be ignored. He has ruled that world for years and earned every title he holds. But stepping into boxing against Oleksandr Usyk is not just a step up, it is a complete shift in discipline. Kickboxing dominance does not automatically translate into boxing success, especially at elite heavyweight level. Usyk has already proven himself against the best in boxing, while Rico is still adapting to this environment. That gap in experience and ring craft is what makes this fight such a huge talking point.
Oleksandr Usyk steps in and will take on one of the greatest kickboxers of all time. I'm actually quite a big kickboxing fan, so I know quite a lot about him. I've watched a few of his fights over the years. They used to call him the Prince of Kickboxing, and then he elevated to the King of Kickboxing. I mean, he's a very, very, very good kickboxer who's got decent hands. I can't lie to you, he's fun.
Peter Fury highlights the mutual confidence from both sides, and that is what makes this fight interesting. Oleksandr Usyk does not avoid challenges, and Rico Verhoeven clearly believes in himself enough to step into boxing. When two champions from different worlds agree to collide, it creates massive attention. But confidence alone does not decide outcomes in the ring. Usyk has built his reputation through elite boxing wars, while Rico is still proving himself in this specific sport. That difference in background is what makes this clash unpredictable on paper, but very telling once the bell rings.
You know, Rico wanted the fight, you know, Usyk wanted it. They said both ultimate fighting men, aren't they? So fights like this are not going to be hard to make.
Spencer Oliver is questioning the legitimacy of the matchup, and many fans share the same frustration. Oleksandr Usyk has worked through a lifetime of elite opposition to reach the top, and now a fighter with minimal boxing experience is placed in that conversation. It raises serious debate about rankings fairness and opportunity in boxing. While Rico Verhoeven brings name value and global attention, it still does not replace real boxing resume. For Usyk, this is another test of focus, because distractions like this can sometimes matter more than the opponent itself.
It's had one bout as a professional boxer. You go, so, you know, how can he jump the queue and box Oleksandr Usyk for the WBC title? To me, that doesn't make any sense at all, and I think it makes a mockery, again, of the WBC, allowing...
Liam Goff delivers the harshest criticism in this entire discussion, calling it a gimmick fight and questioning the legitimacy of the title situation. When Oleksandr Usyk is involved, expectations are always extremely high because of his status at the top of boxing. The criticism is not about his skill, but about the matchmaking decision itself. Rico Verhoeven's background in kickboxing creates debate over whether this belongs at heavyweight boxing championship level. Still, Usyk remains in control of his narrative, and every time he steps in the ring, he proves critics wrong through performance, not opinions.
This is a joke. This is nothing but a gimmick fight, and it's even more shameless considering the fact, one, it's on pay-per-view, and two, it's for the WBC Heavyweight Championship of the world. Does Rico Verhoeven, with his one win over a decade ago against the guy who was 0-5, deserve a world title shot? Answers on a postcard. Can you play the recorder? No. That's the answer. This is shocking. Shocking stuff from Oleksandr Usyk. This is Oleksandr Usyk picking money over legacy.
Oleksandr Usyk is showing complete seriousness here, and there is no sign of underestimation at all. He respects Rico Verhoeven's kickboxing dominance and size, but he also makes it very clear that his approach is fully committed. For Usyk, this is not entertainment, this is competition at the highest level. Even if others see it as half-show, he is treating it like a full professional war. That mindset alone is what has carried him through elite heavyweight battles, and it is exactly why he remains so dangerous against any opponent in front of him.
It's big, it's real fight, it's a dangerous guy. It's a undisputed champion for kickboxing. It's a big guy, like a hard, but this is 50% show, 50% fight. But for me, it's 100% fight, because I very serious in the training, my plan.
Peter Fury gives full recognition to Rico Verhoeven's long reign, and that cannot be ignored. A 12-year dominance in kickboxing shows elite-level consistency and discipline. But boxing is still a different environment with different demands, and Oleksandr Usyk operates in that space at the highest level. Experience inside boxing against elite heavyweights is what separates champions from cross-discipline challengers. That is where Usyk holds a clear advantage, because his entire career has been built inside this specific sport and at championship level.
This is the real kickboxing king, a heavyweight undisputed champion that's reigned for 12 years plus, you know, at the top. So he's fought everybody. So now, you know, he's had every kind of challenge, you know, he's come through that, and with him being around me in boxing as well for so long, and knowing that he he fancies it, and he said, we had a discussion about it.
Max Kellerman explains the key detail that makes this matchup so debated. Rico Verhoeven is still extremely early in his professional boxing journey, despite his kickboxing greatness. That gap in boxing experience becomes crucial when facing someone like Oleksandr Usyk, who has spent years fighting elite heavyweights under full boxing rules. Kickboxing fame does not fully transfer into boxing success, and that is where the Real challenge begins for Rico. Against Usyk, even small technical gaps can be exposed very quickly inside the ring.
It's going to be Verhoeven's second professional boxing match, but guys, Verhoeven is 6'5", 270, and he is like the dominant champion in kickboxing. I used to watch kickboxing all the time. Growing up, if there was no boxing on TV way before the UFC, they'd like ESPN to have kickboxing on. I used to watch it, right? Chris, you have fought. Now look, it is not boxing, it's...
Wade Plemines calls this an entertainment-style crossover fight, but still acknowledges Oleksandr Usyk's dominance as the favorite. The comparison to other crossover moments shows that surprises can happen in combat sports, but Usyk operates at a far more technical and controlled level. Even when facing unpredictability, he rarely loses structure or focus. That is why many still believe he will dominate this matchup. For Rico Verhoeven, the challenge is not just power but surviving the pace and precision of a fully developed elite heavyweight boxer.
In fact, I think the fight is going to be a fun one. I think Usyk's probably going to wash Rico, but hey, you never know. Francis walked in there, knocked down Tyson, jiggled his balls in his face, and ended up almost beating him. So yeah, I'll watch this. It's an entertainment fight. It's a crossover fight, and while I think that Oleksandr Usyk has bigger fish to fry in the heavyweight division, when KBL is a mandatory.
Max Kellerman explains the key detail that makes this matchup so debated. Rico Verhoeven is still extremely early in his professional boxing journey, despite his kickboxing greatness. That gap in boxing experience becomes crucial when facing someone like Oleksandr Usyk, who has spent years fighting elite heavyweights under full boxing rules. Kickboxing fame does not fully transfer into boxing success, and that is where the Real challenge begins for Rico. Against Usyk, even small technical gaps can be exposed very quickly inside the ring.